Oh my God, how come it's high resolution now? Okay, what good timing. Okay.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How you been, Charles?
doing?
How's summer going?
Summer's doing good. The wind, the damn wind.
I thought we'd change this up a little bit, and I'll ask you questions.
Go ahead.
So what was your highlight of summer?
Highlight was having people on the street in Fredericton, St. John, Moncton, Miramichi, high on crystal meth.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You saw a lot of that?
Yeah. If we had a government that cared about the drug issue, you know,
well, maybe we didn't have a government that cared, but we do now.
We do now. So our job is to...
So you're in good hands here right now.
I'm in good hands.
All
So
right.
you got some more questions?
Well, they'll come along.
You're going to wait me take over, Charles.
Okay, you start now.
This is not going good. Ross Whitmore tried that once.
Did he?
Didn't work out at all.
He was more experienced at that.
Oh, it was funny. Do you see this? It's high. It's high.
What? Yeah, okay.
No. Okay, so we'll just leave it at that. Okay. Thank you very much. And we'll have one question to make you look good at first.
Oh, well, that's nice.
Okay. Immigration. Now, you remember in Quebec. Oh, by the way, I'm sorry. You are.
Blaine Higgs.
Blaine Higgs, you are.
Premier
of New Brunswick, the legislators in the back. Very nice. But we came a long way, me and you. Eh?
Well, yes. We started out a little ragged there, didn't we?
Yeah,
but we got over that.
Look at that now, buddies, side by side.
That's our friends do.
Oh, yes. Good old buddies. Okay, Charlie, focus. Immigrants in Quebec, when the Premier said for government workers, immigrants to wear scarf and all that, what do they call it? The veil?
Yeah, the hijab.
Yeah. And I look at that and I said, good for Quebec. Good for the government. You know, I mean, you know.
You're always doing those things that you don't expect.
Yeah, but you know, I said, you know, that's what I said. I said, you know, you come here in this country, good for Quebec. Now, you know where I met you at a convention center a few months ago?
Yeah.
Where was it?
We were over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where were we?
Well, at that CEO convention, was that the one?
Yeah. And what did we witness?
What did we witness?
Let's see how your brain is.
No, tell me, what did we witness?
Remember the person that introduced you?
Yes, okay. The comedian.
No.
Who?
The person that introduced you and never read one word from the paper.
Oh, yeah. So okay. So what's your point?
No.
Yeah. All right. So just went by memory.
Okay. Remember the immigrants, the young immigrants you attended?
Yeah.
And the person.
And one of them there went through my biography. Yes.
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yes, that's right.
And
I was thinking of a different convention.
I know.
Yeah.
No. You're a busy man.
Yeah.
You're a busy man. That and all the cabinet were all there, and everybody appeared.
Yeah.
For 1 minute. To tell you, the Premier, and the cabinet, how proud, glad they are in Canada.
Right.
That was emotional.
It was, and they were coming. Every one of them coming from the heart about what they, what they've been through, but what they can bring to our province, to our country, and it was. And you're right. I remember that young individual that just went on, and you said, how did they remember all that?
Yeah, and you took your speech and you short out.
I did, yeah.
But going back to Quebec, that changed my attitude about the immigrants.
Yeah.
To see all these young people.
That's right.
That was very emotional.
So it's not only in that regard how sincere and genuine they are about coming to our country, but we need them. We need their help.
Yeah.
I mean, we have some big challenges that are going to be greatly, our ability to solve them is greatly enhanced by the immigration policy.
Okay, now all good things must come to an end.
Oh, yeah,
okay, but immigrants are welcome here in New Brunswick,
yes,
U.S. Premier.
Right.
How's your French anyway?
Well,
no, I don't want to go.
You don't want to go there?
No, I don't want to
go
go. Okay, so Jason Kenney, are you trying to be appointed in his cabinet?
No, not really.
The speech you were making in Alberta?
Yeah, that's right.
You were passionate?
I was passionate. And you know, what we see there is alignment of purpose, alignment of support, a national interest. And I find I have great difficulty when the rest of the country, I don't say the rest of the country, Quebec particularly, don't see a national focus here. And Premier Kenney's not talking about, separation or do this or that. He's talking about having the value for their commodities appreciated and the contribution it makes to the welfare of the rest of the country.
And they had your name wrong that first night.
Well, it wasn't the first time, though, right?
No, I know, but they had
It
your
was
name
wrong a
right.
few times. I was called Brian here not long ago.
I know, not long ago after
what's
that.
that about?
Now, the pipeline, we know that pipeline is not going to work for Quebec. You know that.
Well, it's unfortunate. I guess I never say never, but it's just my attitude, right? Is that I find it Quebec are happy to put a gas pipeline and build an LNG facility on the St. Lawrence Seaway, and they're doing that to create a $14 billion project. So that works out well for them.
You remember at QP when all they had the horn there?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, remember that? That drives people crazy.
Yeah, I have one of those.
Yeah, you're going to have many louder horns if you try to put that pipeline through Quebec.
Well, you know, Charles, we need just to put because we're in, as I've said before, we're in a transition economy here. And so we have to, as we transition from fossil fuels into a greener energy, we have to balance that with the ability for us to survive economically and provide the services that we value. And that's all my point is, that, you know, if we're using oil in the country, well, let's use our own. And I believe the provinces, and I'm spending a lot of time through from Ontario west, you know, to say we have alignment here. And so we have this little block in the middle that just seems to prevent the rest of the Canada from getting connected.
Okay, Lieutenant Governor, what's going on there? Are we going to have one, or are we just going to appoint her husband? Or
good. Are we going to have one? Yes.
Of course.
What are the dates?
You're not going to dissolve the Constitution like in England.
No, absolutely not. And
that comes the next election. When is that anyway?
No, well, there's no date set for the next election.
No.
Well, we know the date 3-4 years out, right?
Okay.
The fixed election date.
We're jumping.
So
I like
in any
the way
case,
she's looking in her eyes.
In any case,
Lieutenant Governor,
we know they'll appoint someone before the writ's dropped, right? So what's that, the 14th of September or something like that? And we were told last week it should be any day. Any day continues to go. We thought, okay, well, it'll be the first of next week after the holiday week. So it's the longest time I think we've ever been without that position being filled.
is it political?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. How come
It's a federal appointment,
Yeah, I know,
and they
but-
got to try to fit the right person in.
Are they pissed off at you? Because
Well, I don't know why. I mean,
you're
I'm
such a nice
a very
guy.
friendly, nice guy to deal with. Don't you find?
As long as
see?
came a long way.
Yeah, but-
We came a long way, buddy. Okay. Moose license. Somebody approached me and told me this morning that he applied for a moose license for 25 years, and he never got a chance. Should that change? Do you know anything
It
about
has
that?
changed, right? The program has changed. Oh yeah. You want to talk to Minister Holland about that, because actually that process went in last spring or last fall, but it basically allows more people a chance so people who've drawn before have to or been drawn. Their order of being drawn again changes. Like they can't go back the next year. There's a series there, but the idea is to give more and more people a chance. Also, the thing that changed is that you have to have an operator's license in advance of putting in for a draw.
Yeah.
Because what we had was, you know, everybody in their family was putting in for a draw and watering down the real hunters, and then they'd never get elected. Or drawn.
Don't you love these easy questions? Okay.
Well, I just
go longer and longer. How long do I have? 15 minutes left. Okay. So Miramichi, the mayor of Miramichi asked me to ask you, are you scared of him? You're not scared of nothing.
The mayor of Miramichi?
Yeah, he invited you in his office. He's a nice guy.
He is.
Adam's a nice guy.
Adam's a great guy.
He said he could try to contact you, but you won't return. He invite you to Miramichi. You scared of the mayor?
I've been to the Miramichi.
But he's never been in his office.
Well, no, I haven't.
No,
I don't
okay.
remember him inviting me in his office, actually.
Sure.
But I feel bad if he thinks that I'm don't want to visit him.
Exactly.
So if I don't know that he's contacted me.
Yeah, he tried. That's what
Did he?
told me. Yes, and he said I don't never hear from him. I
So
said,
did he get an answer, or did he get a wrong number, or what?
Okay.
He can follow up with me. Maybe he'd
He
like
can
to come to
follow-
her
Yeah,
office.
yeah. See,
How come you had to bring her along? Her eyes. Her eyes. Okay, we're not going to mention no
there's
names.
someone keep an eye on you.
Oh yeah, she came
Yeah.
in enough big time. Okay, Irving Employees in your office.
Oh yeah,
There's two.
yep.
Deputy, what do you call them?
No, I have one that's a kind of chief advisor to me, who was a former Irving employee for JDI, but many years ago, and he went out in business on his own. He was a Stantec. He owned Jacques Woodford, an engineering firm. He was president of the National Chamber of Commerce, and brings a lot of value to help us make and put better decisions.
That was the other one.
The other one is a guy, a fellow engineer that I did a number of projects with. He retired just recently, and I have him working with the folks in DTI to look at how we can, you know, scale our projects for the right size as opposed to some of the projects we just overbuild, and to get better value for the dollars. That's what he and I both worked at for years in our whole career.
So will they be looking for New Brunswick interests or just the Irving interests?
No. This is about getting better value for taxpayers. This is nothing to do with Irving interests. This is about having a ability through a work ethic that required us every day to get best value for dollars spent. I mean, it was the way we stayed employed in my former employment. And so I don't see any reason why we shouldn't have that same philosophy in government, is that we shouldn't be looking at how we can spend more money. We should be looking at how we can get more value with the money we spend.
So, okay, I'm letting you talk to answer that. That's good, but I thought with the Irving interests in there, that would, you know...
There's a culture there, right, of value and design efficiencies and working with others as we change the culture. And that's what I'm trying to do, trying to change the culture in government.
Clear cutting. Do I have to ask?
Well, yes, you should ask, because again, some of these questions go back to what Minister Holland's doing in the forestry sector. So we're looking at barriers around alongside the rivers, because in some cases we have 100 meters, other cases there's 300, and you say, why is that? And when I talk to different people in the industry, the further back from the river, the issue of the impact on the climate, we're going through that analysis. We said we were going to put out a full forestry plan, higher levels of conservation areas. Excuse me, reviewing the glyphosate policy so that we're staying away from watercourses. Yes.
So are we going to finally going to tackle the spraying?
Yeah, well, we are going to look at where there isn't any technical data that says this is a human hazard. There is information that says if it gets into the waterway system, it's a problem. So where are we spraying? But you know, Charles, the biggest usage for glyphosate is not in forestry. It's in agriculture. And it was
Heartland,
all the farming particularly. Now, so the point is, you know, to just say oh, we're going to ban glyphosate spraying. I mean, people need to understand the impact that has on the economy, and then also understand, well, why are you saying that? Because there isn't any science that backs that up. So we are looking at where should we be controlling spraying more tightly than we do today, and we will implement that.
I hear there's a young girl that has cancer, and they blame it on the spray, but that's another thing. That's if you had the evidence that is causing humans.
Oh, absolutely.
You will definitely stop it.
Deal with it. But I mean, and I don't know that particular case you referred to, but absolutely. I mean, I base anything based on the facts that are presented.
Facts.
And the science.
Facts. Humans harm. Eliminate. Those are facts, right? That's what you're looking at.
If you have all three that line up, then you have to deal with it. That's fact.
Are you ready for your big speech in 2020?
2020?
Yes.
And next provincial state of the province?
Nope, in the spring. Maybe you'll have to sympathize. There's going to be a huge flood in the spring because of clear cutting.
Well, that's what we're doing on the study with the forestry. How much of it is related to forestry practices?
I'm telling you.
Never
mind these Irving employees in your office. I'm telling you, it's clear cutting. You're getting from me. What's the date?
Fact-based, Charles.
Fact-based. Yeah.
See, stick to the program. Fact-based, right?
Okay, fact-based. Facts. There's going to be a flood in that spring. Huge flood.
There's a flood every spring.
No. It's going to be a big flood because of clear cutting.
So what we don't know for facts is how much of our climate change or flooding situation is related to the actual clear cutting, but I'm sure you that as we identify where we can improve forestry practices and change them accordingly, we will do that.
We will do that.
Yes.
Okay. Refinery. Remember Larry Washburn?
I do remember Larry. Yes.
I remember that. Huh?
Yep.
And you were involved. You were management.
I worked with Larry. Yeah.
You know, I mean, we got nothing against the Irvings, Arthur, Kenneth, but that was a big battle in the 90s.
It was. Yeah.
It was
long straight. A lot of people, you know, lives were changed and disrupted, and it was unfortunate.
It was, and there's a lot of the attitude that you had with the union and all that. Are you bringing that attitude behind us?
No, it's not about an attitude, Charles. It's about the reality of what we're facing, and so what we faced in those days was related to the Irvings were making the decision whether to invest $1.5 billion in a refinery, because they own one refinery, and that's it. They either had to invest very heavily or get out of the refining business. And that was the issue. It wasn't a salary discussion. It was about doing different things to help help this investment be effective and real. So it wasn't about cutting salaries. It wasn't about cutting benefits. It wasn't about any of that. It was about what do we do to improve our ability to be successful in the industry. In that case, here, I'm asking the same question.
Binding arbitration. That's
yeah, but an unfettered binding arbitration is just a license for an arbitrator to print money. And it's like we have to look at the reality of New Brunswick and say, okay, let's put the conditions around an arbitration process, because an arbitrator needs that guidance in order to be reflective. You just can't take, I want 4% or I want 20% and you want 4%, so we split the difference. I mean, that's not a decision. Everyone can do the math. It's like we have to look at the reality of what we're faced with, look at all the benefits and programs that exist compared with others that are paying those bills, taxpayers paying those bills, and say what's fair. We have wonderful employees. I'm just asking to help New Brunswick.
How about the explosion at the refinery? We know there was the explosion. There's even union workers approached me. They were traumatized, but they don't dare to say nothing because they're afraid to be on the blacklist. They don't want to cause trouble, even in the neighborhood. And we don't even know why to this day, why there was an explosion. Like, I know it's a private industry, but the government should be concerned of the safety of the people in East St. John, or
Well, I mean, the refinery, all the years that I was there, has an excellent safety record. Having said that, I remember. I don't remember during the big expansion in the 70s. I wasn't there, but I think there was a fatality there. I remember one fatality when I was there, and this last one, fortunately, there wasn't any fatalities. I think there was a construction fatality, so I guess I'm sitting here thinking about it. I remember 3 over the census in 59, but there could be others. I just don't know about them or know the records. So in the industry, the safety record was very, very good. I know how much effort and time was spent on the quality of the equipment and the design and the training for the people. So that incident was really unfortunate. It is being investigated. I haven't seen a report yet.
Did a Premier?
Well, I haven't asked for a report.
Do you have the red phone, Mr. Irving?
Well, no, I don't have that red phone to Mr. Irving. But I do think that our Department of Pedal will be going through that to understand public safety, going through that to understand that all precautionary measures have now been put in place. If there was anything missing, and I don't know that there was, but obviously when you have an incident like that, something is not right.
Do I have another 15 minutes?
No. But you have another 5.
I got something here. Maybe I can have 15 minutes. Wait. Hey, thank God there's no security.
Yeah, that's why you want to be out here.
I want another 15 minutes.
Chocolate milk.
Oh, that's so nice.
Perfect.
Okay, there. 15 minutes.
Too.
15, yeah, exactly. There. 15 minutes. You could be bribed. Okay. So we turn around. Let's talk about WorkSafe in New Brunswick.
Yeah.
Now, there is my cousin in St. George. She's a sweetheart, and she just found out this morning. She just gave me a phone call about 20 minutes ago. By the way, this was planned by somebody else. Somebody said you should give them a chocolate milk to, I won't mention her name, but anyway. I said, yeah, that's a good idea. I will do that. She went to, her husband got injured at the shipyard, and they had to go through arbitration, WorkSafe, NB. And then when she went to an appeal, she won her appeal. Then she tried, it took about 20 years. And then you turn around, that pay that the compensation, the interest, they refuse to pay the interest. So then she appealed it, then they deny it. But it's because of the policy changes, like, it's not like, you know what I mean by grandfather?
Yeah.
But they changed the policy, and then when an old person gets injured 20 years ago, they stick by the new policy. Do you think that's right?
Well, I don't know the specifics of that particular case, but no, I don't think that's right on the surface. I think that, policies are grandfathered in place at a time and place when someone was injured. That would be the policy that was in effect.
Yeah.
That would be what I'd expect.
Yeah.
And with new hires and new conditions, and they're hired under a new policy. Or if the date of the policy change is after the policy change, or the date of the issue. So no, I would think there would be a grandfather clause there in the normal circumstance.
Maybe she could send you some info.
Well, I'd be interested to understand the situation there, sure.
We're not doing that. She just said, like I said, this woman is not like me. She's not quiet. She's not
well, then
loud
definitely
like
ever contact me.
She's very quiet. Okay. Brian McDonald, remember him?
I do remember Brian. Great guy.
Andrew, nice guy. So anyway, Brian McDonald stood up in the house behind us. Remember Denis Landry?
Oh, yeah.
We still know Denis Landry, interim leader.
Yeah.
He used to be Minister of Public Safety.
Yep.
He stood up and Brian, the last day of the House before the election, the Conservative were in power, told Denis Landry there's a woman named Serena Woods. She was forced to walk home from the Miramichi jail to come back here. What happened? She had an unpaid fine, panhandling. It made the national news because
I do remember that case.
And the Conservative asked the Liberal about that issue.
Yeah.
Now the Conservative in power.
Yeah.
Carl Urquhart says, well, we're not going to drive them home. So isn't that being a hypocrite to say when you're in the opposition, people with mental illness, Indians, welfare bums? No, when it comes to forced to walk home, and now you're in power, but you didn't say welfare bum. That's me that said that. Once you're in power, you don't do anything.
So what would you suggest we do there?
I suggest
do you know that the policy has changed or not changed? Do you know it hasn't changed? Or you asked Carl this and he said...
I asked Carl. Carl said, well, we're not going to... All he said is that we're not going to drive them home. I said, if they're sentenced in Burton, Woodstock, or Fredericton, there's no provincial jail here. And thank God you canceled that courthouse there. Oh my God.
Yeah, we had two of those buildings outside, wouldn't we?
What are we going to do with that anyway?
I think it'd be a great courthouse.
Sheriff... and me for the first.
There might be other options. We're looking at options
focus.
now.
That's it.
We're looking at options.
No, but shouldn't the sheriff are coming here anyway? Where they were sentenced, shouldn't they bring those prisoners back where they were sentenced?
Well, I think that. So how did they get there to begin with? But I think the real issue is that if you have someone that you have reason to believe they're not safe to be just walking down the street going home.
They got no family, they got no friends.
Then we have an obligation to do something. But everyone can't claim that, okay, I need a ride home. But I think if there's a reason there, why they're there, and it says, look, this person is at risk by doing something and walking by themselves or something, we should be cognizant of that, and we should find a way through that.
Good, we'll talk about that later. You called them. You called them. Look, here they come.
Hey, we're here.
Okay. Wonder where to go. Okay, we're almost done. Okay, the one issue.
Why you wear that hat?
What the?
So
that's exactly why. But as you notice, I waved. I wanted some action. The Premier read on video. Okay. Do we have a drug problem in New Brunswick?
We do.
Okay, what kind of drugs are we talking about?
Well, I think that we only, as a rule, can scratch the surface in the reality of the problem. But if you look, if you take our cannabis right now,
you're from Forest City.
Well, there you go.
Population 8.
That's right.
Your drugs was a cigarette.
Yeah. Well, yes, even that.
So what do you know
was
now?
A stretch. But right now, what I do know is that the legalization of cannabis has exploded the black market. I mean, we have all kinds of illegal operations. No, I haven't.
You've never been in cannabis?
No, I haven't.
Brunswick?
I haven't.
You know what the first thing they do when you walk in there?
Well, they search you, don't they?
No, that too. They do that later. They ask you for ID.
Do they?
Do you look like somebody, or me, look like somebody
that's underage?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't been accused of that lately.
No, and
that
they got
hurts,
the
really,
camera all right over.
That hurts.
And then, exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you know,
Nicole's asked that all the time. It's just not right.
Nicole, let's focus on the chocolate milk. Never mind Nicole. But okay, so the cannabis, never mind that. Do you think that that's because we got a drug problem because we legalized?
No,
marijuana?
I think that the issue around it, and I asked the other premiers when I was meeting with them too, there's different degrees of how it's being managed, but the legal market now has a right to be out there with cannabis and it's more, as it once was hidden, I guess, from you.
Yeah.
Now it's not an issue. So we've seen, I think, I don't know how many, but we've seen 30 or so new locations start up.
Marijuana. I'm talking about the higher drug. Do you know about
the concern is that leads to the higher drugs. That's always been the concern. I don't have any new information that says the concern on heavier drugs is worse now in New Brunswick than it would have been before the legalization. So I have nothing that tells me that. However, what I do have is that the concern that we're going to be seeing heavy drugs, fentanyl and others that are coming west to east.
Crystal meth.
And more concerns are coming.
Crystal meth, they make it in the home.
So is that related to the legalization of cannabis? Not necessarily. But it's a big, major concern.
Major concern.
Yes,
now, you want 25% saving or cut from every department? Didn't you say
25%?
that? Did you say, oh,
You're
maybe
making up
50,
numbers
maybe
there?
50, maybe higher.
You're just picking numbers out of the air,
I'm being
aren't you?
polite.
When did you
25,
become? When did you become a financial predictor?
I have
here?
ADHD. I'm not good at math. So you want every department to what? 25%?
I didn't pick a number. We stay within our budget, right? Because we don't want to raise taxes, and I've said that. So we have to find ways to do more with the money we're currently spending. So on negotiations, when you talked about that at the beginning, about what I'm asking of employees of the province, it's basically saying, okay, everybody talks about where government can improve their operation. So I'm just asking people that are doing the job every day to tell me where we can save money to allow to pay different wages, different benefits.
Are we going to cut rehab? We need rehab, drug rehab.
No, I have no plans to cut rehab.
25. Do they
that?
got to cut 25% of their money? They have to do. Are they going to give more money for rehab? That drug addiction.
Our investments or our expenditures will be based on the need, and we have to find ways. We've got cases where. Well, we have the issue with the paramedics, and then finding and making sure that we keep all the paramedics.
Isn't that bullshit, paramedics?
Well,
you gotta be bilingual to be. That's bullshit.
Well, I think the idea is providing the service, and we've said that. We've been through this before, right? Providing the service in health care, no matter where you live. So we make sure that that's first and foremost, and that is the goal. But we have an absenteeism issue in many areas, either through stress or sickness. In the whole discussion with CUPE, I mean, the average of 16, 17 days a year being used in sickness. Well, what is that about? What's the problem? Because we need to work with those people to keep them employed and keep them at work.
She's getting hyper across there. But drug rehab, we're going to put more money. It's a crisis.
Look, the professionals will tell us where the money needs to be spent. All I will ask is, are we spending money in the right places, and is the money getting results?
This winter, homelessness is gonna get chilly.
Well,
that's why we're outside here.
We've been pretty focused.
We didn't go in your office to do this.
We've been pretty focused right on that issue, and our Minister Shepherd's been very quick to respond to issues in different communities to deal with it. We'll deal with it at the time, not months later.
One more thing. It's all over. Listen, I gotta ask you this. You're the Minister of Finance. You were former Minister. If I see all these flashbacks, I still call you the Minister of Finance. How much did it cost to remove the tolls in St. John?
The toll booth? It was...
How did Ronnie Weston got Stephen
So the
Harper?
bridge was overhauled. The bridge was overhauled in order to bring it up to maintenance. I think that between province and the province, they spent around $30 million to bring the bridge up to full standards. And the tolls in an average year, I'm going to say around 15 million, 10 to 15 million, but I could get that information. I just don't recall the exact number.
Because you remember Lou Murphy.
Yeah.
And Lou Murphy and Doug Young. Frank McKenna, remember Frank McKenna?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
anyway,
the name's vague.
A little bit. But Frank McKenna and Doug Young were side by side at the memorial of Lou Murphy. Mm-hmm. And I told them, I said, listen, are you going to name the toll bridge, remove the toll booth, and name the bridge the Lou Murphy Bridge? And Doug Young looked at Frank McKenna and said, well, the Premier, if the province wants to take over the maintenance, go ahead.
Yeah.
So how much money is it costing to maintain provincial?
Okay, let me look at this. Let me say it this way. Regardless of the number that the tolls were bringing in themselves, when that bridge was built many years ago, it had a debt of, let's say, $25 or $30 million, and it had this debt to at least that, and maybe more. And the goal in the tolls was to pay the tolls until the debt was paid off, and then that was it. The debt was higher at the end of the time frame than it was when they started. So the tolls never paid for it, but you had a whole operation there to run a bridge, right? You had a CEO of a bridge. You had all this equipment to plow the bridge because they even did their own plowing. They had all this different equipment, right? So we're saying, well, what is that about? This is just a bridge. So there was an element of saying, well, it was designed to do this. Tolls were put on to do this. It's the only toll bridge in the province. Why should it be different?
And one more thing, you know what? I love you and Steve Murphy.
Oh, really?
I love you and Steve Murphy. No, I don't love you and Steve Murphy. I mean, I love you.
Yeah.
This is not that. I should have quit while I was ahead. Just looking at this sugar making me hyper. No, the interviews with you and Steve. I mean, the first one was he assisted with the Canadian flag. I thought that was hilarious.
Oh, yeah,
and you said, okay, you want one? I'll go downstairs and get one. You just told it. and then with the cartoons, the Michael.
Oh yeah.
And then you said, "Hey, I don't." They said they blame you because because the Irvings let him go, and you said, "Well, any work? I'll let you see his work." Did you see it?
No, I haven't seen them, and I would love to see them.